Welcome back. We're still with the Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, Professor Oshita. Thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you.
Well, we're left off now with the hate speeches, in the electoral processes. And we're just wondering right now, let's take an intricate look at this. You look at the political campaigns, and it's mostly filled with hate campaigns, hate speeches, and so on and so forth. What do you see this doing, when it comes to violence, after the elections, post-election violence? Won't this ginger it the more?
I think that just to connect back to the earlier discussion on the Abuja Accord, what is happening in the social domain now is that a lot of civil society organizations and also, state actors are documenting, the hate speeches, those who are making these speeches, and, the platform under which they made, the speeches. So, in a way, we are having an election ahead of us where people are documenting everything that is going on. So, if you say that the Abuja Accord has not impacted positively on what is happening, then, of course, you will have missed the fact that people are tracking these things in order to confront these people, later to say, look, you signed this thing, but this was what you did. And the information that is being tracked by various agencies, including the Human Rights Commission, is going to be made available to those who need, this information. In case my institute is also tracking. We are tracking. The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution is tracking. The civil society platform under the Peace and Security Forum is tracking. The National Human Rights Commission is tracking. The Press Council of Nigeria is tracking, and many other organizations. So the data at the end will be, collated, so that if we have anything, if we have any violence, we will know the people to point to as having contributed cumulatively to the violence that we will have, seen. But I think that we might not be at that point. And that's why we are still saying that we still have some time. A lot of people are still carrying out advocacy, meetings here and there, and asking their followers, asking political actors not to, preach hate, because we must have a country in order to have ambitions. And that is why, each time I remember the statement that the president made that neither his ambition nor the ambition of any politician is worth the blood of any Nigerian. And I think that is the point of departure. We need to look at that. I would not be happy if I got into a position, through the blood of people. What is it worth? How long will I be there? You understand? So these are the issues. And I think that the way we are moving, we do not envisage that kind of violence. We do not envisage that actors will continue to hit the polity, because we have seen, presidents have come and gone, and, the country has remained. Nigerians must realize that the most important thing is the survival of this country. It is the platform that both ourselves and our children will aspire to do anything in life. You can't be you can't be a citizen of another country and feel as comfortable as being a Nigerian. You understand? If you have traveled widely, you will see that, look, home remains home. And so we must work to preserve this country by avoiding violence. I know that there are many activities that, agencies and civil society organizations are carrying out. For instance, the Peace and Security Forum, which the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution is chairing, is coordinated, under the sponsorship of NSRP, the Nigerian Stabilization and Reconciliation Program, and then coordinated. The secretariat is with CISLAC. Now, under that platform, different agencies of government, different civil society organizations are sharing information, information about the campaign trend, the way things are going. In fact, this was a platform that first gave the signal, after the governor of Katsina State made a statement, the infamous statement about cockroaches. Now, that group, the Peace and Security Forum, came up with a press release on Shema's show of shame and said that must not continue. And I think that over time, a lot of politicians have learned, and they are no longer making those kind of statements. For those who are still making those kind of statements, they have been documented. Because you see, our lives every day count for the future. If you see the way this campaign is going, I'm sure what some of us have said in the past, we will regret that we ever said them. Because our life is continuous. And everything we do is on record. So I believe that Nigerians are learning a lot from this present campaign. There hasn't been an election in Nigeria that is as, hotly contested as the present election. Highly competitive. And it is good for democracy. The important thing is that we should go through it and then emerge at the other side, and then we'll tell ourselves, bravo, that we've done well. Democracy must grow in Nigeria.
But you see, election violence has always largely gone, unpunished for many people who got involved. So how effective will this documentation of yours be?
It's going to be very effective because more than ever before, you see, there has been this problem about who is to prosecute. There was a problem between INEC and the police. And clearly, INEC has made its case. And this case was also backed up by the Justice Uwais Commission report, which had recommended that there should be an independent commission, for election offenses. Now, INEC has so much to do that it cannot prosecute. The police is in the circumstance, is the rightful agency, to prosecute. And the IG of police has announced publicly that they are making sure that they prosecute election offenders. So I believe that this is not going to be like business as usual. We expect that the police will live up to its own, bidding and ensure that, election offenders are prosecuted. Because that is the only, solution. If we have prosecution, of course, that means we will have deterrence. If we don't have prosecution, it's like encouraging people to continue to do it, which is what we have seen in the past. We need to ensure that people who do what they ought not to do in the context of, elections are prosecuted.
So in other words, you're saying there's proper understanding between these organizations doing the documentation and the police?
Yeah, absolutely, because the information that we have from both government agencies and civil society will be made available to those who have the prosecutorial powers. Oh. That's the point. They will have the information. Even if the police, it does not need the information, other groups will need the information. You understand? Because the police has its own situation room too. They are also documenting. As you will have seen in the past few weeks, the police also, took the Abuja Accord to some of the states in order that it will help them in their law enforcement role. And that was also commendable. So I think that the police is documenting, the other groups are, sharing information. So anytime the police needs this information, it will be made available to them. But of course, if any other group needs the information, it's the information that we are sharing. Just a few days ago, yesterday, the press council, handed its own document of tracking, to us at the institute. And we have seen it. We know that they are doing good. And other agencies are doing the same. By the time we collate this information, we will have a rich data on, things that are not constructive enough in an election period.
What is the major challenge your institute is facing when it comes to peace and conflict resolution in Nigeria?
Well, I must say that the major challenge has been the challenge of funding. And why is it so? Because we are coming from a background where, budgeting for conflict prevention, budgeting for peace building is not seen as, something that is important.
Even in the midst of the crisis we were facing?
Yeah, absolutely, because, our budgeting system recognizes the construction of bridges and building of roads, building of, a hard infrastructure. So the idea, we are just trying to sell the idea of, research as capital project. Because research is so important that you cannot construct any infrastructure without research. And so the ideas that we produce, towards preventing conflict and preventing violence and building peace in the society must be seen as capital project. I think the point is that in Nigeria, we need to begin to appreciate investing or funding research and development, because that's a critical area.
You say this is quite contradictory, because one will think the government would leverage on an institute like this, to promote peace and conflict resolution, given the security crisis, we have faced over the years. So what really is that disconnect I'm seeing?
No, it's an evolutionary challenge. It's an evolutionary challenge for our African systems. It's not just the government in Nigeria, African systems.
We have a peculiar situation in Nigeria. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but we are getting out of it because we are making the point wherever we had the opportunity to say, look, we must invest. You need to get research information to be able to carry out some, some activities. And I think it's beginning to, resonate where it matters, namely where budgeting is done. That, look, research and development is critical to the development of any nation. And if you check the history of nations, research and development is a critical leverage that nations take, to get to whatever state they have gotten to. You don't get there by just, you don't build a road if you don't have the concept. You don't build a house without a concept. You understand? So, building peace, preventing, violence in the society requires what we call building infrastructure for peace. And if you want to build infrastructure for peace, you must fund the research that will lead to building infrastructure for peace in the country. Well,
very well, Professor Shita, thank you very much. And we're hoping that your institute will bring more benefits to Nigeria in the near future. Thank you for coming on Dateline.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you as always for your comments. You can share your experience with us using the address and Twitter handle on your screen. And don't you forget, you can let us know what is happening within your area, especially if you're in the nation's capital. Now, you can also view the program on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. Now, you can make your comments after viewing the current video as well as older episodes of the program. Don't forget to include your name and your locality. Thank you for watching this week. I'm Gloria Umezuki. See you again.